after we have had time to review what the ad hoc committee for Access Will County recommended to the executive committee.
We have a motion to postpone by Butler, seconded by Dean Schlotman. Any discussion on the postponement before we take a roll call? Question on the postponement or comment on the postponement? Okay, yep.
So for the new people, this is a 190-page document that I think, it would be beneficial for all of us to, we got it a year plus ago. I think we should all take a good look at it, understand what it is, and we can bring it back next month. But I believe that it's in everyone's best interest to refresh. I mean, I read through that whole document. I can't even tell you exactly how many pages it is, but all I know is it'll be some great reading for yourself when you're really, really bored. But I would encourage us to postpone it. Everybody take a good look at it, and then we move on from there. So that's all. Thank you.
County Board Member Hickey.
Thank you, County Executive. All due respect, Leader Richmond, it has been over a year, and I read the 190 pages when it was initially presented. I followed up with questions that I had, and I wasn't on the county board yet. I was just a member of the public. So if we have not had time in the 12 ensuing months to look at this document, what's been going on? Again, I just don't understand. I think that this is something that we owe the residents of Will County. I think that it should not matter what township you're in. You should have access to reliable transportation. Transportation systems like this make sure that people who otherwise wouldn't be able to can work, can pay their taxes, can be fully, taking part in society. It's really, there is a dignity that comes from being able to get back and forth to where you need to go on your own steam. So I would please implore all of you to really think about this. If you're going to postpone this, there are people out there who are counting on you. Thank you.
Member Ogalla.
Yeah, so I just wanted to clarify a couple things. And so Access Will County, as I said before, was brought forward to us by a presentation from Elaine Bottomley. And then we discussed it, we postponed it, we discussed it, and we put forward a resolution that the county board approved. And in that resolution, because what the concept is that here's the resolution, we want to go ahead and approve all the recommendations in the resolution that were not clearly defined as a recommendation. And the final recommendation is to provide bus service for everyone. That's a very open-ended recommendation in this document. So at that time, I was the chair of the county board, and I made a motion to amend the resolution.
County Board Member Ogalla, you're going to have time to talk. This is just on the postpone.
This is just on postponement.
So if we don't, then we'll come back and talk to them. Yeah, this is on postponement. If you're going to talk about whether or not we're going to postpone.
But I think we should postpone because of the fact that the new board members and Herb weren't here at the time that we made when we changed the resolution. The board voted in the majority to change the resolution to give authority to the county board to allow us to have input into what recommendations we approve rather than approving the whole thing. The board passed that with a majority vote, and then you vetoed it. So it makes sense for us to postpone it so that we can have that conversation, because the county board members need to remember, the county board sets the policy and procedures. We are a board, we're elected officials. We have rights and we have responsibilities. The county executive is a separate body. She's not part of our board. She just sits over this meeting, and then she puts forward the policies and procedures she administers for that, and she's over a lot of different offices. So that's the difference here. I would like the county board to have responsibility and the authority to say yes or no, because if we don't do that, just like going back to number 3, where the paratransit agreement was changed dramatically over the last 3 years, things being moved around, and then the addition of the county paying for the costs of the townships that were involved. So Eastern Will County townships always paid. Southern Western Will County did not pay. They did not part of it. They chose not to be. And they did not go to the townships. I talked to the townships. They were not interested. They went to the municipalities. So we're changing the dynamics of what we've done and who authority it was to determine whether there was a dial-a-ride service or not. I'm not saying we shouldn't have dial-a-ride. I'm not saying that. I'm saying is that we should determine if we're going to pay for it and take over the responsibility. Because like Steve said, the fact is, the county executive changed the intergovernmental agreement that the county board pays the township's portion that they never paid before. The townships paid their portion. And because of that, then townships like Homer and New Lenox and others that are not part of this dial-a-ride are paying for their own. So yes, it is a double payment. They're paying out of their taxes and they're paying from the county taxes. So that's what needs to be determined here, is that these changes have happened over the course of time with the intergovernmental agreement changing drastically without being any notification that it was changed from time to time. I agree that the Axcess Will County plan was out there, but we did pass the resolution, and I know that Member Richmond is going to make amendment to the resolution so that the county board can be included in this. The county board can make the decision as to how far within all the different recommendations in that 190-some page document are put forward or not. Because remember this, we are the ones that appropriate the funds. That's on us. It's not on the county executive. Therefore, it's our responsibility to determine how far we want to take the current dial-a-ride, which is for seniors and ADA. And I do support that. You could shake your head no if you like. That's fine. I do support that. I've always supported that. I don't support the fact that the townships have no skin in the game. They should pay a portion of their riders' responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you. County Board Member Berkowitz, and then Trinier.
My question,
Hold on, you don't have you on there. Ayana can't.
yeah, thank you. So Wheatland Township is not part of this plan. I'm wondering why.
We're voting on the postponement right now. So
Well,
we could go,
well,
we will go,
Had
we're going to
you-
vote on the postponement and then you can have
called the
questions.
question,
Yeah.
you ended discussion, and now the discussion is continued.
He made a motion to postpone. We are
the-
making a motion to, Julie, please listen to me. This is just on, we're not debating Axcess Will County right now. We are debating whether or not we should postpone this vote. Yes.
Previous comments have been debating and
Well, I
have
tried
been
to
telling
focus
us
it
why
too,
this
yeah.
is.
But I'm
a
not bringing
plan
anyone
that
up here
should
for a
be-
postponement. I'm not bringing anyone up here to talk about these questions. This is about a postponement. If you'd like to have a question about
Okay.
what, if you want to make
I-
a statement.
Well, I'm going to share some information
Okay.
then. With a postponement, what I'd like to see coming forward and what I'm going to expect to see, and I won't vote for this unless I see it, I want to know, why isn't Wheatland Township part of this plan? Are my seniors out of, do they have to call PACE? Wheatland Township isn't part of this. If they call Colin, what do they get told? Oh, you need to call PACE? So until we can ask questions and get our questions answered, and hopefully fellow board members will allow us to ask questions, until that happens, I will not support this. And it isn't because I don't support our seniors or any individual that needs a ride. I do. But we have to make sure we understand what the plan is. And Wheatland Township is nowhere in this documentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have a comment on the post? Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. No, I already called Trinier. Sorry. No. County Board Member Trinier. Please, Mr. Butler, you're going to have your turn next.
I'm calling the question.
Okay, well, maybe you won't. Yeah. What, ask a point of order question. Nothing about, point of order. Do this again. Why didn't you start speaking? Why do you play these games? Start speaking. Say, I'd like to speak right after I make the motion. On the postponement. Okay, so you did speak on the postponement. You explained why you wanted to postpone it. You explained why you were making the motion. You've already spoken. County Board Member Trenier.
Calling the question.
Is there a second to that? Seconded by Hickey. Madam Clerk, please call the roll. We are voting on the postponement. Whether or not we want to postpone. Oh, we're voting on whether we can call the question first. Then we'll vote on whether we can postpone. Thank you.
Richmond. Williams. Dean Schlottman. Ogalla. Pretzel. Butler. Newquist. Balich. Brooks. Winfrey. Bullock. Logan. Freeman. Revis. Mitchell. Ortiz. Berkowitz. Hickey. Costa. Trinier.
Yes.
Van Dyne.
Yes.
With 13 in the affirmative, we do not have enough to call the question. County Board Member Butler. Then Revis. We are talking about the postponement. We are focused on,
Thank
I'm
you.
sorry, whether we are postponing this, Will County Access.
Thank you. So I just want to make it clear to everyone, a postponement is not a no. I, more than anyone, want this program to be done. I want to go through with this. It will be, the people will still have access to busing. This doesn't affect anyone else in the whole county except my district, basically. They will still get their services. All I'm saying is that some of the questions, some of the things that bothered or the troubles that our stakeholders were having are not addressed in this agreement. They are addressed in my resolution. So I'm just asking that everybody at least be allowed to read and go through my resolution, which it's a year of committee's work, and at least allow it to be read and give fair consideration. Nobody wants to not help our most vulnerable. We definitely want to do this, but we want to do it in a way that is fiscally responsible and attentive to their needs. Uber, for one, does have vehicles that are specialized in
To the
wheelchairs.
postponement.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. All right, so there are other services, and in my resolution, you will see that there are alternatives to this plan that could be better. And I would have liked to seen some of those reflected. So please, it's important that everybody get the information before we vote on it.
Okay, seeing no other comments, we're going to now vote on to postpone item number 24-340, authorizing Access Will County Plan.
Richmond. Williams. Dean Schlottman. Ogalla. Pretzel.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Newquist. Balich. Brooks. Winfrey. Bullock. Logan. Freeman. Revis. Mitchell. Ortiz. Berkowitz. Hickey. Costa. Trinier. Van Dyne. Mhm.
11 in the affirmative, the motion carries. Speaker Van Dyne. We're at number four. We're back to the original. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. We're back to the original. We have a motion, a second out there for authorizing the Will County we have. I'm sorry, it was 11 in the affirmative. No, wait. Okay, so the motion to postpone failed. Sorry about that. So now we are back into, we have a motion and a second on authorizing Access Will County Plan. Well, we're going to have probably a discussion first. All right. So County Board Member Balich and then Richmond.
My problem is that Eastern Will County gets all the benefits and none of the rest of the county does. And in my township, we're paying somewhere around $100 per ride. And we signed a contract because I've been talking with Alex in Lockport, and he signed a contract too. I don't know what his cost is, but our cost is $100 a ride. And then we're going to turn around and have to, $100 a ride. We have 17 people that use it out of 41,000 people. And it's the same 17, they use it all the time. So we didn't eliminate it. We signed a contract, but it's a heck of a lot of money. And when you start talking about other forms, other ways of transporting them, and would it be cheaper to get an Uber? Well, once you said you're going to start paying for Ubers, then everybody in the township is going to go, wow, we're going to use Uber. And then the cost would skyrocket. So that's why we signed the contract. I didn't like signing a contract that I'm going to have to pay $100 a ride. But at the same time, how are those people going to get around? So that's why I signed it. But when you really look at it, there's probably not any good solution for this stuff. Because whatever you do, it costs a ton of money. But I don't like the idea of the county, if the county wants to do the central zone and include it with the eastern zone, that's like doing it for free for us. I'll take it. I love it. I'd say, let's do it tomorrow. But that's not happening. And so that's why I'm against it. Because other people, it's like no taxation without representation in 1776. You know, we're going to pay for other people's stuff, and we're not going to get any benefit for it. So that's my only problem with it. And I don't know a solution. If I did, I would say it.
And just for clarifying, the Will County Access Plan is to expand countywide to work with all the townships. So again, we've started off small, so we can roll into, but there is planning. So that's what the plan is to expand so countywide. And this is unusual, but I recognize that this is because my name is attached to it. Well, I will tell you this, and
You know, I get it. We need
yeah.
it. I'm not saying we don't need
I
it.
understand that, but this is what the plan does. Right now is a Homer Township supervisor, people who use your ride service can only go within a certain mile radius. They can only go about 8 miles out.
And
So,
they can go all the way to Plainfield now.
well, then that could be why they pay for some of the services
They pay
extra.
$2
Yeah.
a ride.
But what I'm saying to you is there's a limited amount. This allows for someone in Homer Glen, if they have, or Homer Township, if they have a farther appointment, if they have to get to something outside the 8-mile radius, a 10-mile radius, maybe it is 10 now, that they can get it through these services. Townships are limited within theirs. Countywide means countywide. So just so you're clear, we are looking forward to having a conversation, again, to get buy-in. It was starting off in certain areas that didn't have any services. So just so you are clear, we're not trying to rip off the people in Lockport Township or Homer Township.
I'm not
We are,
saying-
I know, we are gradually doing, and this is what part of the conversation is.
But part of the problem is if you go out to these other townships that don't have, they're not signing up for this because it costs too much money. And that's why they're not signing up. Because there are, when they had all those meetings, all the townships came and said, yeah, let's do it because it's free. Then we don't got to pay for it
Yes.
out of the township.
And
But
some
then-
townships have the ability, have a little more flexibility in their dollars than others. We have very small townships that do not have it. So again, yeah, that is a philosophical,
That's what I said,
probably a
but
philosophical difference, whether we want as county board members to be able to help those smaller townships that do not have the ability and have a smaller tax rate, as opposed to our larger ones who would like their members, who would like their citizens to be able to go across the street.
my
I just don't want
taxes are
people
low.
to, I just don't want people not to support this because it is initiative of
Why-
the
why
county
can't you-
executive. So.
I
you
mean
please-
to interrupt you.
Yeah,
but
that's fine.
Why, like if I'm going to initiate a program, I'm going to do the whole program. And then
Would you fund that for us immediately?
would I fund
Would
it?
you fund it for us immediately?
I wouldn't start it if I
Ah.
couldn't get it funded.
Well, again, our priority two right now is funding folks who do not have any services. And we
But
were
they-
able,
but
because of
again,
this
they
county
could have
board,
it.
we were able to.
The townships could have it if they would pay for it. That's
So-
the kicker here. It's like,
Yeah,
it's not,
as a county elected official too, I don't want to punish the residents because maybe it's not in their budget to do it. Maybe they don't have the tax, the tax ability to do it. So again, sometimes we get to vote on things, it's kind of like the state level. Sometimes you get to vote on things that just impact your district. Sometimes as a county board member, you have to look at the big picture.
Well,
So,
Mike, I just,
I just
I look
understand,
at
and
it like this.
I
My
respect.
budget went, when I started there, it was 1.6 something, and now it's 1.3. So we cut 300,000 out of the levies, right? So then all of a sudden, if we change this stuff, we're going to have to find money to pay for Eastern Will County.
We are paying for Easter Will County.
No, when
Oh.
our
No, you're not
township
going to. No,
people
no, no.
will have to come up
No.
with the money.
No,
No?
yeah,
With the county portion.
the county portion, yes, correct.
Anyway,
All right.
I think it,
Yeah, I do. Leader Richmond.
Thank you very much. I don't think there's anybody on this board that's against, helping people get to work, people with special needs getting to doctor's appointments, things like that. I think what it comes down to is after reading 24-340 and 23-313, I have a little bit of a challenge with, and I'm just going to read it. Now therefore be it resolved that the Will County Board accepts and approves the Axcess Will County Plan. Does that mean we approve every word in that 190-page document? That's the question. And I mentioned before about scope creep and that, fine, we're starting off at 60, then is it going to be 57, 55, 52? This is the same discussion that I had at our village board when they talked about bringing gambling in. And the question was, you're going to bring in 5 terminals. Where does it stop? Is it stop at 10? Are we going to have full-blown casinos in villages and that kind of stuff? The question that I have is, as a group, we approved Resolution 23-313. In there, what it did is, and everybody on this board should be very concerned about having your voice and representing your town and your townships and your districts and that. And I think if we go back to 23-313, we voted for it. It did get vetoed. But what it does is it keeps control in the county board's hands, and we can then make the best judgments and adjust accordingly based on the plan. I'm afraid that if we accept this resolution 24-340, that we're going to approve the whole Axcess Will County plan. So I'd like to make a motion that we go back to resolution 23-313, that language in there where it does, we do some discussion, that we have the ability to review and make adjustments to the plan. So, I mean, if anybody has any questions, I'd like to make that motion that we go back to that.
Clarify your motion, sir.
Do I have to read the whole thing?
I need to know what your motion is, yeah, which I don't know what you're
All right, so
I don't know what you're referencing.
My motion is to amend to go back to resolution 23-313
What
in
is-
its entirety.
What is resolution 24? That
It's the Access Will County Plan, whereas in early 2022, Will County began evaluating.
Does everyone have a copy of that? So can you give us a copy? Because we learned last time that sometimes we don't have the actual copy, that we get confusion of what the amendment is. So if you can give me at least a copy of what you are referencing.
got
Is it this?
I've got my copy that I've highlighted. I mean,
Does someone like to give, does both sides have this copy of this amendment? Yeah. Well, why don't we wait to give everyone copies so we know what amendment that
So-
we are, yeah,
Chuck did distribute them all to everybody
okay.
because Chuck and I did have a.
And this amendment was when?
Did we talk? We talked, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to ever put words in.
Resolution was in September.
This was the
It was
amendment.
September 28th, 2023. I
Can you
think
give us, can you give us a copy up here? So again, when we are clarified that, you know. Stand up. I stand up. Out.
What? I don't know. Is that the same?
There's no number on this. So what?
Is this the same one?
Yeah, I think so.
Not even sure if this is the accurate one. Is there a number on it, sir? Oh, yours is, all right.
Okay, the resolution as it is here, it says we adopt and approve the Accessville County Plan. The resolution that we were given before, so I just gave mine away. Katie, can I have yours? It gives the board to use that plan as a guide, okay, subject to change. Plan, we'll use this study as a guide by the county board to set policies and procedures to ensure the dial-a-ride service can be met. So we're using this as, we're asking for the right to use this as a planning document to make recommendations. So we should have to come back. Karen and Elaine should come and say, listen, we've looked at this and we'd like to do that. Like I said, she went and she changed the intergovernmental agreement. I didn't even go looking at it, but if you look at them over the last 3 years, the font has changed, so you can't look directly. She changed the orders of things around, so you lose it. But the big difference is that she put in that the county
what I was
would
asking.
pay
I
for
was
the
asked to put that in
right
just
service
a
that
resolution.
township used to pay for. So when Steve saying,
I said,
this
I was asked to put
resolution,
this into this format here.
this
What I was
resolution,
asked to do.
Doesn't talk about how it pays it, but it just sets it as a guide, so we don't have to.
I did.
that, so we are
Yeah,
not
some people
approving the
ask for copies.
recommendations of that book. This is saying we're looking at it as a guide.
Here, we'll start with Member Trenero.
Thank you, Madam Executive. I really have a huge problem with the sentence that says, whereas the proposals of these study will be used as a guide by the Will County Board to set policies and ensure improvements are made to enhance the dial-a-ride services. We can't do, and that is 1, 2, 3, 4, the fifth whereas. We don't agree on pretty much anything on this board, and that would, to me, tells me really obviously that we would stall out on everything and anything if we tried as a board to manage the actual function of this program. What I will say is we do have the power to change anything you do. We have the power of the purse. We just approved the PACE contract for the next year. If you if she were to add some townships to that contract that this board did not agree with, we could just vote no. And then she couldn't move forward with that PACE contract as written. And I'm going to assume that she's a pretty smart county executive and that she would be discussing this with us before she brought the contract forward, even if it's just at the committee level. We have that ability right now. We could have approved that contract and said, but we'll only approve it if you remove Wilmington. We had that ability. We didn't do that, but we have that ability as a board. We have the power of the purse. We have the power to change anything that she tries to implement with this program, because everything that she would implement would require a contract or an amended contract with PACE. Our township just signed our contract with PACE. Our board voted on it. The supervisor signed it. Our rides cost us $12 a person. It still would be a nice savings to our township, but I'm sure if we got into some sort of financial problem at the county level, the townships would not want to lose their service if they were a part of the county program. And if the county came to them, they would probably pony up some money, because they're currently ponying it up if they have a program in their community, which a lot of the townships do, but not all of them do, and not all of them have in the past. And it does have a lot to do with their financial ability. Some townships just don't have it. You're under PTEL, you can only raise your levy a certain amount. This is not an inexpensive program. Our township pays $24,000 a year. But our bill for the month of December was $12 for each senior and or disabled individual that took that paratransit dial-a-ride. That is a lifeline, allowing them to live some sort of normal life. A program can't be managed. I don't believe a program can be managed by a board. I think it needs to be managed by an individual. We have somebody in the mobility platform. We have Elaine that has brought us all this great information. It says in this resolution that you agree with the Axcess Will County program. You just want to manage it. Well, I just don't believe 22 people should be managing a program. I think that's a job for a person. So if we believe in the program, then we should pass a clean resolution allowing the county executive to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. County Board Member Revis.
Thank you, Madam Executive. I represent on the board Plainfield, Joliet, Naperville, and then my border of my district touches the city of Aurora's border. This is significant because they are the 2, 3, and 4 biggest cities in Illinois outside of Chicago. And all that being said, it's very difficult for residents in my district to find localized or, regional public transit options. PACE currently runs a bus. It's the 559 route, I think, and it starts at 59 and 111th Street. And that leaves pretty much all of my district unavailable to access that line. Now, I know we're talking about a different program and things like that, but my point is we can't delay any further on bringing accessible public transportation to the residents in my district. I was willing to support this back when it came up first, but I understand there are other board members with concerns, and quite frankly, I'm struggling to keep up with what all those concerns are. I know we had a ad hoc committee that met for 15 some months trying to fix this. And, I would just hate to see that group's work not get adopted, because I think they did come to some consensus and they solved solutions for the stakeholders. So I'm not sure where we're at this point, but those are my thoughts. Thank you.
County Board Member Butler, then Newquist.
So this matter came up before the board, and there were some problems. We didn't agree. The board approved a plan, the executive vetoed it. We created an ad hoc committee to address this problem. Normally, when an ad hoc committee is created, it is created for one purpose, and that is to make a recommendation. So yes, the committee was 12, 15 months, I'm not sure. We talked to as many people as we could. We finally came up with a consensus, but we have not had time to give that. So how does this get on the agenda before you have received that recommendation? I don't understand how this is even on the agenda. What was the purpose of an ad hoc committee? I mean, this should not even be before you unless the recommendation has been given. And we were a week from that happening. That's why this shouldn't even be on the agenda. I'm sorry.
County Board Member Newquist.
Thank you. I just want to say that I agree with what Member Trainier said. I voted against this revised or amended resolution last year because basically what we're saying in it is that we agree with the plan. We think it's a good guide. We want to proceed in that direction. And so then why not just approve the original plan? And that's why I agree. I'm in an area that's taking advantage, that's able to get the service. However, I thought the whole point of this was to eventually expand the service to the entire county. We got to start somewhere, you guys. Nothing we do is irrevocable. Let's just approve the thing and move forward. Thank you.
Rogala.
Thank you. So there's the difference in the resolutions. The resolution that's on our agenda today says that the county board agrees and approves with the Axcess Will County plan. That plan is the 190-some page document that we received. That document includes many, many, many recommendations. So if we adopt and approve it, that means we're adopting and approving all the recommendations made in that. And the final recommendation is we have a bus system for everybody to ride on, regardless of age. That is not cost effective. There's no way we can do that. That's why when we had come up with a revised resolution last year and it was passed by majority, and then it was vetoed. The difference is simply this: whereas the proposal of this study will be used as a guide by the county board to set policies. So everyone can say that we can control what happens with the executive or whatever. Did you know, because I don't think anybody knew, that the intergovernmental agreement was changed and that the townships would no longer be, who are part of this, will no longer be responsible for their portion of the ride, that the county board, the county would pay for their portion of the ride. I don't think anybody knew that until it happened, and it was in Axcess Will County, and I remember a presentation coming from the executive's office, and Elaine said to us that, yes, we are paying for it. Because I heard from my townships that they didn't have to pay for it anymore. So we asked Elaine, she said, yes, we are not responsible for paying anything anymore. So that's my whole thing, is that the township should have skin in the game so that we can keep this controlled. If you do not do that, the recommendations that you would be agreeing to in this 190-page document is open-ended to the extent that it would be available for anybody to take a ride, not having to be a senior, not having to be ADA. And therefore, that would be very costly. As I said, if you attended the committee of the whole, you saw MetroPace and the RTA are all concerned about the cost and that they don't have the money beyond to go into 26. They have a fiscal cliff. So my concern is if we do not set a standard in here to do that, then that becomes a problem. And I've sat through many, many budgets, and people are not willing to change the budget that the executive brings forward. And those dollars were put in the budget to pay the township's portion, and the county's paying for those townships. The other townships who are not part of it did not do it because they did not want to pay for it, because they didn't think it was needed to be in their area. It wasn't being used. I know that the other townships like Homer and New Lenox and them have their own, and the plan is to bring everybody together. I get that. I understand that. But I think that if you say we adopt and agree to this plan, you are never going to have a say in it. and it's just going to go to the full extent of whatever the county executive desires. So I would hope that you guys would take the vote yes to amend the resolution to give the county board the authority to set the policies that we would do, not to direct the program. Elaine and Colin do a great job at taking care of our residents and making sure they get where they need to go and get picked up. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying we need to make sure that we are able to set policy. Do we want to move from Eastern Will County and Southern Will County and now include Homer Township? That's a decision we should make. If you adopt this plan and agree to it, it's just going to happen.
County Board Member Freeman?
Thank you. So since this was vetoed, it takes a 2/3 vote, correct?
Entirely new resolution. Oh,
Okay. Because
so yeah, no,
new board?
this is a new board, so no.
okay, I was just checking. Thank you.
County Board Member Berkowitz?
I've got a couple questions for Elaine. So regarding this agreement, what was I'll wait till you get up to the podium.
When you say this agreement, please specify that we're not talking about agreement right now. So what are you referencing?
Okay,
With the-
regarding the resolution
Okay.
and the procedure, I'd like to know with the townships, for example, Wheatland Township isn't part of this. What, can you tell me why?
Of course, Member Berkowitz. So when you say Wheatland Township wasn't a part of this, I'm assuming, and please provide the clarification, that you're saying that Wheatland Township was not one of the key listed out stakeholders in the working group that's listed on page 3.
Correct, I don't see it anywhere.
Perfect. Okay, I want to make sure that we're on the same page. Wheatland Township was not on our stakeholder list. You're really having me dig back into this because when we started on this and started establishing the stakeholders, that's over 2 years ago right now. And I do have a good memory. I'm good with details, but some of the finer things I'd have to really go back in my notes, and I'm not sure if I even have that written down. I will say, while Wheatland Township was not listed out as a stakeholder, their residents responded to our survey. Their opinions were reflected within this. They were not listed as a key stakeholder that received, like the preview of this is where we're at in the plan document before it goes out to additional public comment, but they were still given the opportunity to be engaged and involved.
Okay, so you said they did respond. How many people from Wheatland Township responded?
I'm not sure. I do have that raw aggregate data that was also shared with county board staff.
That was a small number, I think about 1,200. I'm not sure that responded. And so the fact that some Wheatland Township residents responded, that's pretty significant. So again, I'm wondering why Wheatland Township was not part of your stakeholder group, and it still isn't.
As I said, I do not 100% recall why we did not include Wheatland Township as a stakeholder for the working group.
Were there other people who made that decision? Who selected the stakeholders?
Stakeholders were selected in part by our consultant team and then myself as the project lead. We wanted to make sure that we had a really good representation of the cross-section that exists within Will County, right? We know we have these great combinations of urban and rural and a diverse population truly. So I believe, and this is just me kind of going on the fly here, if you look at the townships that were within our stakeholder working group, we included all of the townships that were within our existing service area. And then we also included a couple of larger urban ones. So we included Joliet and Troy. And we also included, I believe, a couple that were more rural that weren't included within our program. So
Who are these, who is the consultant group? You said it was yourself with your consultant. Who are they?
The consultant that we utilized to complete this plan was VIA. If you look at the front cover of the plan, it says on the bottom right, powered by VIA and Muse. VIA is a international transportation company. They do these plans throughout the country,
Mhm.
throughout the world.
Mhm.
And then Muse was their sub-consultant that helped us with all of the branding, all the community engagement, all the things like that.
Yeah. Well, I've worked with consultants in the past and I'm kind of, surprised that the consultants didn't take the time to reach out to the county board members to get to know their counties and get some feedback because we know our districts. We know their needs. So consultants didn't take that initiative.
We brought the presentation forward. The consultants were here at least once or twice to present on the plan, what the process was, and engage with you all.
I realize that, but did they ask for our input and did we give it? No, we did not. I can assure you, no one reached out to me. And I do know that at the township, a couple years ago, they were talking about this. They would like to be included in this plan. So that brings me forward to another confusion I have with this whole thing. So you determined for some reason that Wheatland Township
Julie, can I,
wasn't coming forward.
member,
No, no,
does this,
stop.
is this going to help with your decision?
It's going
Are you
to
trying
help,
okay,
Jennifer.
We've had
So
a year
let
and a
me
half of an
finish.
ad hoc committee.
You let other people talk.
I let you
me
talk.
Finish.
Julie,
Okay,
yeah,
Elaine,
I've allowed a lot of
so
leeway here.
moving forward.
I'm going to
okay,
dismiss her. If this is your last
do
question.
Mute me.
I'm
You
not
do
going to mute you. I'm going
have
to
the
dismiss her.
ability to mute- You have muted.
We've
me
had a
before.
year and a half at an ad hoc committee to ask all these questions.
Jennifer,
And now
I
you're
go
going to,
committee meetings.
well, good, then why did
And
you
there
not
is
ask
proof
these?
that I do
Why
my
did you not
work.
ask these?
So please let me finish.
Can you answer me then? Why didn't you ask these?
I have.
Then
Go
why don't you
to
have
the
the
meeting-
understanding of it?
People tell me I asked.
You
too
can
many
answer one more
questions,
question, then I'm
Jennifer.
dismissing her.
So I'm going to continue. So I'd like you to clarify this. Somebody calls you from your stakeholder group and you assist them. What happens if somebody from Wheatland Township needs a ride and they call? What are they told?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that when we talk about this, and it's hard. Member Perkins, please let me please answer your question. But I
Okay.
think I need to give a little bit of context because when we talk about this as a body, when I answer questions, I think that sometimes things get confused. The question you're asking is not related directly to this plan. The question you're asking is about a day-to-day service operations of mobility management. So right now, any given point in time, any resident of Will County, it doesn't matter if they're in Wheatland Township, it doesn't matter if they're in Green Garden, it doesn't matter if they're in Joliet Township. They call and they say, hey, I'm having mobility issues. I'm trying to get transportation. I'm trying to get registered. Our mobility manager, Colin Phillips, takes the time and walks them through their options. He will speak with them regardless of where they live, as long as they are a Will County resident, and say, okay, well, you live in Wheatland Township. You do not qualify for our Access Will County program. You're not within that service area, but this is the service areas that exist within Wheatland Township. Your options are Ride DuPage, because I believe you guys are in with DuPage. Perfect, thank you. So Colin will then reference, hey, this is the process that we've outlined for Ride DuPage. This is what we believe the process is. You need to reach out to them. And Colin will then send them off. And typically, if it's a person that's really trying to get a next day ride or trying to really struggle through the process, Colin follows up and makes sure we're able to get registered.
So
We're able to get a ride.
we have a Will County taxpayer who calls Will County.
Yep.
Can't get the service and call Pace or call this. And in Naperville, we have Ride Assist Naperville. It's a nonprofit. It's amazing. I'm one of their supporters and this is what they do. They make sure everybody gets to where they need to go. Great program. Been working with them for a long time. So, got a taxpayer, calls up, not part of this intergovernment agreement.
She's answered that question already.
Okay, can't do it. Now, you have somebody in the program and they say, I want to go from, my township and I need to go to a location in Wheatland Township. do you tell them, no, Wheatland Township doesn't participate in this program?
She doesn't understand.
I'd be more than happy to sit down and walk through
No,
hypothetical
just
writing
specific
situations.
answer to the
There's,
question.
there's caveats
I'm-
to that,
I'm
right? Because it depends, right? So if it is someone that's currently within our operating service area that calls as a eligible rider, that is a senior, 60 plus, or resident with disability, that says, hey, I want to be picked up from Green Garden Township, my home, to be to be dropped off in Wheatland Township.
Yes.
Wheatland Township is within our service area. They can take
Okay.
that ride there.
And then when they need a ride back home,
They can take that.
you
Yes.
come to Wheatland Township
Correct.
again,
Correct.
and you bring them back to Green Garden.
Correct.
That's ridiculous to me. That somebody who lives in Wheatland Township, you can't come and pick them up.
We're
And take
trying
them
to,
somewhere.
we're trying to do this. This is what Will County Access is
I would
doing.
love to have that conversation too.
I'm going to say that as a representative of my district, that this, I have not seen any efforts to include my residents and my most needy people and the taxpayers. So thank you.
Yeah. All right, we have a couple more comments, I think, or well, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So next up, we had, I'm looking at numbers here. Member Hickey.
Hi, thank you, County Executive. I just wanted to say that I'm a little fuzzy on the timeline right now because a lot of things have happened in the year. But at some point in time, back when I was a trustee at Wheatland Township, we were encouraged to come forward and be part of this process. And our supervisor actually.
Executive appointments to the Joliet Regional.
O'Gallagher?
12 in the affirmative, the motion carries.
Winfrey?
I know.
Prior to the amendment that Jim brought forward, if you take that resolution, that plan with all the recommendations and that 190-some page document includes the ability to go and allow anybody to ride it. Don't have to be a senior. You don't have to be ADA. If we could definitely make sure it was seniors and ADA, that would be great. That's a good use of our county dollars to provide our seniors with rides and our those who have disabilities of whatever sort, or if you're just having you just had foot surgery and you're disabled, you can't drive your car for 3 months and you need a ride. That would be fine. That would be fine. The plan, the 190-some page document with many, many recommendations does not prevent that from happening at all. Not at all.
And so it's been brought up twice, so I'm going to have Mike speak.
Yeah, thank you so much for allowing the clarification. What you just voted on with the PACE IGA, that is the contract with PACE. It doesn't say that we're going to pick up 25-year-old kids coming home at 2 in the morning, right? So those are all things that come back to the board. At any point in time, you are the legislative body. You can come and make changes. You can work on appropriation bills. You can say, hey, I want to put another 150 into this so we can pick up 25-year-olds so it's safer on the streets at 2 in the morning. Those are decisions you can make. This is a planning document. Thank you.
What never came before you? I'm not. Okay. I know.
Anyone takes the time to look at the intergovernmental agreement for the last 3-4 years, you will notice every year it's a different font size. The paragraphs are moved around, the definitions are here, then the definitions are there. It takes a long time to go through all those different things. So you can say that. It sounds nice. You say it with a smile. That doesn't prove anything to me. I've sat here, I've watched what has happened. That's what I'm saying, and that's why I think you guys should adopt the resolution that's being amended per Leader Richmond. That way we can set the policies as to whether we want to do that or not. If you just say you agree with the plan, you're never going to have a say. I guarantee you will never have a say.
All right, so we have a motion and a second to go back to 2023, was it? No, just the year. I want to make sure. So we're going back to the 2023 resolution. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Richmond. Williams. Dean Schlottman. Ogala. Pretzel. Butler. Newquist. Balich. Brooks. Winfrey. Bullock. Logan. Freeman. Revis. Mitchell. Ortiz. Berkowitz. Hickey. Costa. Trainier. Van Dyne.
11 in the negative, the motion fails. Chair or Speaker Van Dyne, we are back to the original motion to authorize the access to Will County. We have a motion. We have a second. Any discussion? I think we have covered it all. I don't think there is anything else that is new that we need. If there's something new to add, please add it, but I think we have covered this. So,
No, I would just like to ask for a roll.
yeah, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Richmond. Williams. Dean Schlottman. Ogala. Pretzel. Butler. Newquist. Balich. Brooks. Winfrey. Bullock. Logan. Freeman. Revis. Mitchell. Ortiz. Berkowitz. Hickey. Costa. Trainier. Yes. Van Dyne.
Yes.
12 in the affirmative, the motion carries. Hey, folks, too, if you're gonna like say disparaging things, you may want to do a little quiet. Yeah. I mean, again, constitutional republic, we all have a right to vote how we want. We don't always agree with what our parties say. We understand that. We do understand that. Some do.